do you suggest?
Whether it's in this life or our next, inner peace must be sought.
How are Augie and Michael taking this?
They don't know yet.
When did you plan on telling them, Grace?
I don't.
We're going to have more time together.
It's very good.
Mickey's going to help with the transition.
Transition to what?
Why are you putting me in this situation? Because I need you. I can't do.
It's not the length of our lives that matter, but the depth of our life is the most important.
There we go. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good. It is so great to meet you.
Yeah, you too, man. I heard that you're a Capo's customer. Is that correct?
Hey, I'm a Las Vegas native. I was born and raised in Las Vegas.
Well, then you appreciate what we do.
Well, get this. I was born at UMC, but back then it was Southern Nevada Memorial, and I grew up across the street in Scotch 80s.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I developed a lot of property in Scott. In fact, I lived on Banny.
Did you? I lived in the early, late 60s and 70s. My family are home builders. Came here in the 50s. I lived on Waldeman and Shadow, and then in high school and college, I lived on Birch and Waldeman. So,
Better neighborhood in the city.
No, Oscar Goodman was my neighbor. The Cashmans, Jerry Lewis, Shecky Green, on and on and on. So
yeah, Jerry Lewis lived directly behind me.
Right. Oh my gosh, I know it well. I know it well. So I can't tell
it
you.
Was a great way of life in the Scotch 80s.
Oh yeah, and I can't tell you how many times I've been to Capos. You know, I just tell you, it's one of my favorite places, and I can't tell you how much time I spent at that counter by myself. You know, having the lasagna and just having the best tomato sauce the marinara I've ever had.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Yeah, me too. And I'm ashamed to say, Nico, I haven't been there in a while, but I've been meaning to go back. So,
well, please come in and ask for me when you come in. I'd love to say hello.
Absolutely. Well, you know, congratulations on your movie, man. It's just, it looked like it was a labor of love. It was so personal. And, you know, I lost my mom to COVID, you know, too. And so that was just this movie kind of spoke to me about life and death and about, you know, just what's important in life. And you open your movie with a proverb. So tell me about that.
Well, you know, I find a lot of solace in that proverb, and that was sort of a moniker as I was developing the film as a director, the looks I wanted and the message that I wanted to present. It really is about, you know, darkness and light and finding the light in the dark. And our main character, Ikumi Yoshimatsu, who was incredible, right, as Grace Stanton, just takes on a very unique perspective, particularly if you're a Westerner. In Japan, you know, they look at things differently, and they're very stoic about how they like to navigate life. And I found that to be fascinating. Without giving up too much of the film, her choices are very Japanese, but certainly can apply to all of us, really. I mean, I don't think any of us want to be a burden. And it's about choices we make to avoid that.
Yeah, her journey on enlightenment, East meets West, is something that's universal in theme. We all are looking for that peace and enlightenment. But tell me about finding your Grace Stanton and in casting this movie. She is the pillar of this movie.
She really is, and I got to tell you that we auditioned in Los Angeles, and it was over the course of a couple of weeks, and it wasn't easy to find a girl who embodied so much of what Ikumi brought to the role for Grace. We probably saw 300 girls, very hungry young Asian actresses who really were looking for, this is obviously a very meaty role. It's a lead role. It's a lot of, as you saw, I mean, it's really tight, beautiful stuff for this character. And she fit everything we were looking for. And the thing I found fascinating about get rid of that thing I found fascinating about Ikumi was, are we still together?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. The thing I found really fascinating was that she had gone through a very similar personal experience, and because of it, before we even rolled camera on her audition, she was in tears. She said the script had really moved her, and I found it very personal for her, and therefore it resonated with all the folks that were helping me cast. Were just taken by how closely she resembled the character.
And in the auditions too, you found Ruby Park at her first role. I mean,
Well, it was interesting because was she was a submission by video. We had an alternative Ruby, and then a casting agent said, no, 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 please wait for this video submission. And we did. And I was just so enamored when I got a 3-minute tape on her. She had done a couple pages, and I said, hold everything. And we literally recast that part for Ruby Park. She's spectacular.
and one of my favorites, and I've spoken to him many times, Eric Roberts, the great Eric Roberts.
Wow. I mean,
is anyone better than him?
I mean, it was like, what an experience working with Eric, because as a director, you sort of block scenes out and you have an idea of what your day is going to look like and how scenes are going to play out. And when Eric walks on set, everything sort of changes because he's got some really strong opinions. And as much as you want to push back on him as a director, I found that the more freedom I gave him, the better the result was. So I gave Eric a lot of freedom. He's a remarkably talented, and it's very organic with Eric. I mean, he just sort of delivers, and there's not a lot to question about his delivery.
And as director of this film too, Nico, you had to have your Alfred Hitchcock moment, your cameo.
I didn't know anybody spotted that. Yeah.
Yes.
How did you spot that? I mean, you really had to sort of look for it. And that was by virtue of, I wasn't thrilled with how our extra, if you will, was handling that scene. And I wanted it to, there was a certain flow. Obviously, that part of the film was all about flow. And I really wanted that flow to be gentle and delicate, and as small as it was, yeah, I stuck myself in there.
Now, Nico, how does someone who's known as a restaurateur, a very successful one, become a director and a filmmaker? Because you even have a line in the movie, I noticed, food is a form of love. That's capitalism in a nutshell.
A lot of it's my soul you see in this film very often because, truth be told, I'm more of a director than I am a restaurateur. I've always been a designer. I always like to design it, like building trophy properties, nightclubs, and bars and ultra lounges. It was all about creating experiences. And what I found through the years was it was difficult to export what I did to the world, right? If you build a brick and mortar and it's in Los Angeles or Las Vegas, you've got a sphere of influence, X number of miles, where people can actually go and see your work and your spirit, right? And making a film allows you to do that and export it to the world. And that I found fascinating because I was able to broaden my horizon of art. And that's what I felt Sarogeto did.
And I'm telling you, it looked like $1 million. And not only you shot around Southern California and the beach communities, but in Japan as well. Talk about production values, and a once in a lifetime location you got to shoot into.
It's true. The Suicide Forest, unfortunately, is a place not often traveled for obvious reasons. And I said, listen, if I'm going to do this, I didn't want to fake it. I didn't want to. So thankfully, Ikumi, her husband, is also a producer director in Japan. So he said, I actually have some friends that have annexes on the forest. So we're actually able to go and shoot in the actual forest, which is, as you can see in the film, it's powerful. It's really vibrant.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's sort of an oxy, right? There's a lot of conflicting moods going on in that part of the world.
Couldn't help notice the score, the cello music, multiple musicians, the music. It's such an integral part of your film, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Jacob Ballou from Germany is a remarkable ingenue as a composer, sound designer, and pairing him up with Martin Tillman, obviously legendary electric cellist, was just a marriage made in heaven. I mean, what they put together, this soundtrack for me is often I ride out to Los Angeles from Vegas, and there's no better hour spent than listening to that soundtrack.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. All your hard work, all your success, and in the film festival circuit, and it seems like audiences are really reacting. I mean, award after award. Is it satisfying for you as a filmmaker that people, share your vision?
It really is, because, when you're making the film, and I wrote the film, you're really sort of in it, right? You're in the looking glass, and you don't really have a greater understanding of what others might think of it. And that was often true in the restaurant business too. I would create a dish that I felt was so spot on, and then I would, sort of let 100 people try it, and you get opinions, and you make changes or not based on those opinions. In the film, you don't get that opportunity. You sort of create that space, and you hope that people respect and understand it. So when we got on the circuit to all the festivals, I found myself sneaking in the back and sort of sitting there and watching the audience and trying to determine if I was on point with what I had captured. And thank the Lord, I was often overwhelmed. The hair would raise on my neck and my arms when I watched the crowd reactions and standing ovations at some of these festivals. It was remarkable. I felt like, wow, I really sort of captured the mood I wanted. They were resonating with.
Another story in you, Nico? There's more stories to tell?
Oh, there's so many stories. I'm working on a Natalie Wood story right now, which is not as much my story as it is her story. And it's about the last 72 hours of her life. And as you know, how tragic that was.
Very
so
much.
We are, working toward a film that tells the story from her perspective.
Well, Sarogeto on demand on digital platforms now, and just congratulations, man, all around.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
And I can't wait to come eat there, man. I'm already thinking about it.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. Make sure to say hello.
I will. Thank you so much. Good luck with
Thank you, Jeffrey. Have a wonderful day.